Google Search Console, tips for cold call campaigns. Stop treating Google Search Console like an SEO-only tool. Most teams keep Google Search Console, GSC, locked inside marketing, while the cold calling team runs on generic personas and yesterday's assumptions. In B2B, that separation costs meetings because your buyers are telling you exactly what they care about before they ever answer a dial. When we treat GSC as shared sales intelligence, our outbound becomes more relevant and a lot less random. The reason is simple. Search is where most buying journeys begin. Around 71% of B2B buyers start with a generic Google query, and B2B sites see roughly 62% of traffic from organic search, meaning the queries and pages inside GSC mirror top-of-funnel demand more accurately than most survey-based persona docs. If you run or partner with a cold calling agency, this is the closest thing you'll get to a live intent feed without paying for additional intent vendors. In this article, we'll show how SDR leaders can pull practical signals from GSC and translate them into call themes, talk tracks, and targeted call sprints. We'll also cover how to avoid common misreads, like chasing clicks only, and how to use GSC to prove outbound is driving awareness without getting stuck in attribution arguments. The goal is straightforward: more meetings per rep with the same dial volume. Why search intent is outbound fuel, even when you don't get the click. A large portion of the B2B buyer's journey is now self-serve and digital, with estimates around 67% happening before a buyer talks to sales. That behavior runs through search, and GSC captures the exact wording prospects use when they're exploring solutions, comparing options, and building shortlists. For any B2B sales agency or sales development agency, those phrases are the raw material for better openers and better discovery. It's also a concentration game. When you rank high, you earn the majority of attention. Research shows the #1 organic result typically captures about 27.6 to 39.8% CTR, and the top 3 results get over 50% of clicks. In practice, that means a small set of pages and query clusters in GSC often represent your highest intent topics, perfect for aligning cold calling services and follow-up assets around what already resonates. One more reason this matters: about 58.5% of Google searches end in 0 clicks. Buyers still learn, form opinions, and refine requirements without ever visiting your site, which is why your cold callers need to echo what the market is reading at the search level and then extend it with clearer outcomes and proof. GSC is how your outsourced sales team stays aligned with that reality. Build an intent map, queries and pages as your messaging blueprint. The most useful mental model is to treat GSC like voice of customer data at scale. Queries aren't just keywords. They're problem statements, constraints, and buying triggers written in the prospect's language. When we build outbound messaging from query clusters, we stop guessing what value prop should lead and start mirroring what buyers already care enough to search. Start by separating brand and non-brand queries. Non-brand queries tell you what the market is researching: pricing, integration, SOC2, alternatives, best software, while brand queries show whether outbound is driving awareness in your target segments. This is where many teams make an early mistake. They only look at clicks and miss the bigger story impressions tell about demand and category interest. Then connect queries to the pages view to understand which URLs are earning visibility and which are underpowered. If a compliance page is trending while your SDR scripts still lead with generic efficiency, your outbound is misaligned with intent. If you're running sales outsourcing or working with an SDR agency, this mapping step becomes the foundation for consistent talk tracks across calls, voicemail, and your cold email agency follow-ups. Turn GSC signals into call sprints without overcomplicating it. The fastest win is operational. Build a shared dashboard that shows top queries, top pages, impressions, CTR, and average position, and review it on a fixed cadence with marketing and SDR leadership. You can do this in Looker Studio, Sheets, or your BI tool. What matters is that it's visible to the people running outbound, not buried in an SEO folder. We found a simple monthly review plus weekly insight of the week keeps the system alive without creating extra busy work. High impression, low CTR queries are especially valuable for outbound. They tell you buyers are actively searching a topic, but your listing isn't winning the click yet, so you can win the conversation instead. When we see a query cluster with strong impressions and weak CTR, we'll prioritize accounts whose firmographics match that problem and run a focused 2 to 3 week sprint with problem-first openers and tighter discovery. This is also where you connect SEO to outbound efficiency benchmarks. Average cold call to meeting conversion rates often sit around 2 to 3%, while top teams reach 5 to 8%. Using GSC intent language doesn't magically fix fundamentals, but it does improve relevance, often the difference between a quick brush-off and a real problem conversation that earns a calendar invite. If your prospects are already Googling the problem, your job on a cold call isn't to introduce the category, it's to clarify the trade-offs and make the next step feel obvious. Write talk tracks that sound like the search bar, not a script. Once you have query clusters, turn them into a query-to-talk track library your SDRs can actually use. For each theme, cost, implementation time, integrations, compliance, alternatives, write an opener that mirrors the buyer's phrasing, followed by discovery questions that confirm urgency and constraints. The common mistake here is copying the query verbatim and sounding robotic. The goal is to adopt the buyer's language while still sounding human. Your best performing SEO pages should influence what your reps say after the opener. If a page ranks because it's clear about outcomes, your cold calling team should lead with the same outcomes and then ask questions that match the page's promise. For example, if organic interest is shifting from cost savings to implementation time, reps should shift from ROI first stories to speed to value stories, and your outbound sales agency partners should update scripts and coaching accordingly. Follow-up needs the same alignment. For every priority landing page that earns organic visibility, create a companion voicemail and a short follow-up email that references the page's headline benefit so the experience feels coordinated. When prospects see the same narrative in search results, on your site, and in SDR outreach, trust builds faster, even if they never click the original search result. Common GSC to outbound mistakes and how to fix them. The most frequent failure mode is treating GSC as interesting data instead of an operating system. Teams export a report once, build one campaign, and then never update it. So messaging drifts while buyer intent changes. Make it a rhythm. One new query trend discussed weekly in SDR stand-up, and one deeper review monthly where marketing and sales agree on the next sprint theme. Another mistake is obsessing over rankings while ignoring the outbound implications of impressions and CTR. High impressions with low CTR are not bad SEO only, they're a prioritized list of hot topics where your positioning isn't winning attention yet. That's prime territory for B2B cold calling services because a rep can still create demand and differentiate when the search result snippet didn't. Finally, many organizations never leverage the competitive advantage because they don't use the tool at all. Only about 49% of marketers use Google Search Console, despite it being one of the most common SEO tools. So sales teams that operationalize it have intent visibility most competitors ignore. If you're considering sales outsourcing or trying to hire SDRs quickly, building this system early keeps performance from depending on tribal knowledge in a single rep's head. Proving outbound impact with GSC without attribution chaos. You don't need perfect attribution to measure whether cold calls are lifting awareness and demand. One practical approach is to track branded search impressions and clicks before and after major outbound pushes into a segment, Then review again 2 to 4 weeks later. If your talk track is landing, you'll often see brand curiosity rise even when form fills don't spike immediately. You should also track how outbound influences engagement with the pages that already rank for high-intent queries. When SEO is reported to drive up to 14x more leads than traditional outbound in some B2B contexts, the best move isn't to argue channels, it's to align them so outbound amplifies the organic momentum you've earned. In our experience, the easiest way to waste an SEO win is to send reps into the market with a mismatched pitch. Next steps: make GSC a shared system between marketing and SDRs. To make this stick, assign clear ownership and keep the process lightweight. Marketing owns data cleanliness and trend spotting, while SDR leadership owns translation into openers, discovery, and objection handling. The handoff should be explicit. One insight becomes one test, and one test becomes either a new standard or a discarded idea within the same week. At SalesHive, we've seen the difference this makes across thousands of outbound programs because it creates consistency across every touchpoint. Since 2016, we've booked 100,000 plus meetings for 1,500 plus B2B clients by combining SDR execution with systems that turn raw signals into calling and email plays. Whether you run your own team or partner with an SDR agency, the principle is the same. Your outbound should sound like what buyers are already researching. If you want a simple starting point, pick one query cluster with strong impressions, align one landing page and one follow-up email to that theme, and run a 2-week sprint with tight coaching. When you do this consistently, cold calling stops feeling like interruption marketing and starts feeling like timely help. That's how you turn GSC from an SEO dashboard into a reliable lever for more meetings.